Good evening, everyone. My name is Paula Wilkes. I'm the president of the Bessie Smith Cultural Center, and we're glad that you could join us tonight for the Black Caucus of Elected Officials for Hamilton County. We've got them here with us tonight, and I am not going to be your moderator. The moderator is tied up in traffic. Maurice Lewis, who is the host of Point of View, will be here shortly and will take over for moderator. But I did want to thank you for coming out tonight and let you know if you need restrooms while we're here, restrooms are straight through the doors there and on your left. We are live streaming this tonight, and we will have a recorded version of it afterwards. So I'd like to thank you all for coming, and I'm sure we'll have a few more joining as we go. But I'm going to go ahead and get us started, and I'm going to turn it over to Representative Yusuf Hakeem.
Testing. Good evening, everyone. Truly, we'd like to thank you both who are live streaming and those who are with us here in person. It is very meaningful for us, for you to be here to participate in this process. We're striving to be responsive leaders. That's why we're here. And with your help, we're going to do that. Before we move forward with our agenda, we're going to afford Mr. Franklin McCauley an opportunity to give a few words. What we did earlier as we arrived was present Mr. Franklin McCauley with a proclamation from the state of Tennessee, and it's shared by all of my colleagues up here in looking at your lifetime of service to others. And as a result of that, as they say, we want you to have your flowers on this side. So we look forward to that opportunity. I need to stop, and we deal with the prayer.
There you go.
Just one moment. Councilperson Hester, if you would please move forward with the prayer.
Let us bow our heads. O gracious, O wise, true, and living God, we thank you, Lord, for this day, a day we'd never known before, we'd never see again. Lord, we want to give thy name the praise, honor, and all the glory. Lord, we thank you, Lord, for allowing us here on this panel to serve, Lord. We pray, Lord, we be a reflection of you in our actions and our deeds, Lord. Lord, we pray, Lord, for the citizens of this dear city, Lord, that they can truly, Lord, be a people of a good abode, Lord, where we love and embrace one another, that we truly will have brotherly love toward one another. We love you, we praise you, we magnify you, Lord. For it's in the holy and righteous name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, sir. And we did want to mention that we have two other recipients whose schedules would not permit them to be here this evening. And that is Dr. Evelina Holmes and Mr. James Moreland. These three people are a demonstration of service to this community and to others, a lifetime of service. So now at this time, we're going to afford Mr. Franklin McCauley an opportunity to give us a few words.
Representative, I appreciate very much being honored. I want to recognize my wife, Teresa McCauley, who should be honored along with me because she has been right with me in everything we've done. We're 81 and we're not stopping. We hadn't done enough. The work is not complete. And so we're going to do more. We're going to continue. We've been married 58 years. We look to live to 100, and we're going to do it with all of you sitting here. Thank you so much.
And I wanted to let you know that we will be hosting these events with the elected officials quarterly so that we can have this on a routine basis, and we will be offering them in live and in person, COVID permit, and on live stream as well. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over now to Krista Mosley Jones.
Good evening. I wanted, well, when we were setting the agenda, we felt it necessary for myself and I don't know what to call him. I'm gonna call him Bird, because that's what I've been calling him since middle school. But for myself and Mr. Anthony Bird to give you all updates on where we are professionally and what that looks like for us politically. And it's funny because Bird and I don't like the word politics associated with our names, but where we are in our elected offices at this time. So I'll start that off. Like everybody knows me, I am Carissa Mosley Jones. I am the Hamilton County School Board representative for District 5, currently serving in my second term and in re-election mode as we speak for the 2022 election year. However, alongside with that work, I have been recently appointed by Mayor Tim Kelly to lead the Department of Early Learning at the City of Chattanooga as its new administrator. So I wanted to share that because I want people to understand that what I'm doing at the city and what I'm doing at the county, yes, they are, they correlate, and a lot of that work goes hand in hand. However, there is no conflict. So I am able to continue to serve my county constituents and my city residents that live there in the role of school board member, and I am still able to serve my city in the role as the Department of Early Learning Administrator, which is an honor for me, as I am now a third generation city employee. My grandmother was a cafeteria manager in Chattanooga City Schools. My aunt taught school for 30+ years at Howard Elementary School in the city school system. My dad was one of the first Black police officers here in the city of Chattanooga, and now here I am. So I'm very proud of the legacy that I'm able to continue on. But we just wanted to, I wanted to make sure that you all knew what that looked like, and because I have been getting a lot of questions like, are you still on the school board? Are you still gonna be on the school board? What does that look like? So yes, I am still in the fight for District 5 and all of the students in that district, but of course in Hamilton County Schools, and that's the update on me. Councilman Clerk Bird.
Thank you, Carissa. Well, I'm Anthony Bird. I am now City Court Clerk for Chattanooga, Tennessee. I started off as City Council person for District 8. And before I even got elected, I worked at the county court, for the county court clerk for 28 years. And during that time, you know, I've always wanted to be in position to change some things and to make some differences down there at the county, because a lot of people that came through look like me, talk like me, walk like me, and I wanted to be able to relate and make that transition that they went through very easy. And a lot of times my hands were tied because at that point I was an employee, you know, trying to serve the public. And after I got elected as city council person, I had to give that job up of 28 years. I had to step down because it was a conflict. And when I got into the council seat, me and my other council team changed the law so I can get my job back and take care of my family. So we was able to change the law, and I was able to hold my seat as a county court clerk and as a city councilman. Through that time, Mayor Tim Kelly appointed me to become the city court clerk due to the history and the time that I've worked there. And now I'm in position to help the city through its court endeavors and be a leader and a team member of a wonderful, wonderful office down there, and hope that this transition can only do nothing but help level me up to the next platform of my life. And who knows what that could be, but I'm happy to be a part of the team, and I'm happy to serve you all in this capacity, and thank you for having me.
If I may, well, to me, it's somewhat of a monumental achievement for these two people to be, in my view, recognized and appreciated, and their value, their worth and value being appreciated. They are local. There's nothing wrong with people from out of town, but there's been a feeling that there's been an absence of people who have grown up here, who have matriculated through school, and not be able to achieve the positions that they now hold. I would hope we, If someone has something negative to say, that we, in a gentle way, push back on that. Let us love and appreciate the achievements of our colleagues up here, your friends, as they move forward. Thank you.
And I should have done this to start with, but I'm going to let, even though their name tags are in each front of each one of them, let them introduce themselves to you, and I apologize for not doing that earlier.
Okay. I'm Yusuf Hakeem, State Representative, District 28. I'm in that, what would you call it, mode, re-election mode. And do we have any persons in here this evening from District 28? State Representative, okay. I just want to know, see if I can get you signed my qualifying petition. If you're so inclined. But with that, we move on to Ms. Carissa Mosley Jones.
Carissa Mosley Jones, Hamilton County School Board, District 5.
Hamilton County Commissioner Warren Mackey. I serve the 4th District. It encompasses my home neighborhood of Riverside Drive, but it's much more than that, and I'm happy to serve the 4th District. I do want to say that after redistricting, I lost half of my district.
Right. Don't need
Just lay down. Just lay down.
You took all of that.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, I'll pass it over.
We strategically placed them so Krista can do that for you.
We love one another. Can't you see that?
We do.
My name's Isaiah Van Hester. I represent District 5 of City Council. Thank you.
My name is Rakita Dolly. I represent City Council District 7.
Hello, Anthony Byrd, former City Council person for District 8, now City Court Clerk for Chattanooga, Tennessee.
That's right. What's up, y'all? I'm Councilwoman Demetrius Coonrod. Listen, shameless plug. Hey, check this book out there as well. Prison of Purpose, A Past That Shaped My Future. You can get it right here tonight, $25. I do accept cash out, cash, checks, whatever it is that you gotta get. Now, I want to join the colleagues who said they're in election mode, because I'm too in election mode, because we got a few seats that's very important to our community, in particular the Black community. Although all the seats are important, when we think about the seats that affect us the most from the time we've been given, actually entered into the world from our parent womb, that's that district attorney seat, the judge seats. All those seats have a major impact on people of color. And those seats are very important to pay attention to. So election time for me.
Amen.
That's all.
Hello, everybody. Why are you here? Because you're paying attention to what they're doing? Is that an important thing?
Sure it is.
That's the most important thing, because without your feedback, they don't often know that they're on the right track to do what you want them to do as opposed to what they might want to do. Good evening, everyone. My name is Maurice Lewis. I'm glad to be here with you today. And I'm glad to congratulate all the folks that are here tonight, because they have a sense of humor. And they proved it by sending me questions to ask them. Now, isn't that a great thing? Just think, if you could do that when you were in college, you could text your professor and say, hey, listen, I've got a list of questions I want to send you about that test tomorrow. So they wanted to make sure that the items and the agenda that we're talking about tonight, it's serious to be sure, but they also have a sense of humor about life is not all that complicated sometimes, and especially when we work together. And that's what they're here for tonight, to ask us to work together with them to make Chattanooga a much better place to live. I'd like to start off by talking about an issue of child support. Is it just for the mother? And are there complaints that fathers are not often represented fairly in the distribution of funds and what have you? So let's talk a little bit about child support from the perspective of fathers. Who would like to go first on that?
I've, I guess, somewhat been designated to do a little research and share it with the community. In regards to child equity rights, and talking with, getting responses from a judge, a clerk, and some other persons in the juvenile system, there is a formula that they use in regards to how much time that each parent spends with the child, the income that's used by them for the child. And when they put all of those factors and some other items that go into the formula, it's determined as to what is in the best interest of the child to be with one parent or the other. Now, what I also learned in this process is that young men have a tendency, when they do go to court, somewhat unprepared. They don't know what questions to ask. They don't know they can ask questions. So what we're saying, hopefully what we're doing is affording an opportunity for young men to give it some thought, if it's that case, or a young lady if it's on the other side, of what needs to be asked. And what I'm told is that we should not be part-time lawyers, so they might want to at least consult with a lawyer. We didn't say hire the lawyer, but in consulting with an attorney, you get some idea of what you need to do as far as questions is concerned. Now, a step that was suggested is that before going to court, is there an opportunity between the parents to sit down and talk and work out an arrangement that is beneficial to the child? Hopefully it's not to the point where one or the other, there's adversarial anger, things of this nature, that instead of looking at self, looking at what is in the best interest of the child and how both can be a part of the life of that child. That's what research I've done and been able to come up with. I don't know if anyone else want to respond.
Well, we'd certainly like to hear the female perspective on this.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to chime in and say to the fathers, like, don't give up on spending time, equal time with your kid, because we know what the data say about, so many homes are fatherless. And we know what happens when that happens, right? We get kids that are lured into gang activities. They begin to be, teen pregnancy. When you don't have that authority figure in your home, it becomes disruptive. So don't give up, and then try to intervene, because one thing that we fail to talk about as women is how we play a part. And, in this issue, we play a major role, and it all begins with this welfare system. That pipeline there that destroys a lot of households. So I encourage all of you guys that are fathers, or if you are an acting father in somebody's life, like, don't give up, don't fall off. I don't care if you have to go to court time and time again, stand your ground. Make sure that the judge understands the importance of you playing a role in your child's life. Because if not, they're gonna continue to drag you through it, and that's what we gotta stop. Understand what the law say, read up on it, get well versed in it. If you have to get you an attorney to represent you, make sure you're gonna get one that understands your passion and your desire to have the same equal rights as the mother do.
Well, I want to go to Anthony Byrd, because you see the other part of it. When a father is into court, in the court system for the inability or the failure to pay child support, that's a cost, and then to get out is a cost, and you're behind. What kind of never-ending cycle does that seem to be?
It's a crazy cycle, and if I may, y'all, a lot of times we fight for unicorns, meaning that I've never met a unicorn or never seen it, right? So we fight for a lot of things that are not there. My situation, where I had to go to court, I wanted my kids just as bad as my lady wanted the kids. So when we got there, I'm like, hey, give me half of the year, give her half of the year, whatever we gotta spend, let's do it. A lot of times between a man and a woman is very toxic because their relationship didn't work. So she's in there attacking him or he's attacking her. And, we just lose a lot of love and a lot of direction when it comes to that. But I can only speak of my situation when it came to me, you know, dealing and getting my kids. I wanted my kids just as much as she wanted them. So the situation went smoothly, and we both were able to pay. We both were able to take care of our kids. Are in a very positive situation now, and they in a loving home on both sides, because we both wanted the best for the kids. We put the kids first, and I think that's where it starts. And when I see it, you put the kids first, it'll work out every time.
Just briefly, it would be helpful for young people who also know that lawyer referral service can give you some free time. It's a place where you can go and ask for at least a half an hour's consultation. Put together a plan, just as you would put together a business plan. Put together a plan and be able to present that to the judge in many cases before you get there. So there's an outline of your sincerity and the amount of thought that you've given to it. Hakeem, you wanted to make a statement here.
I just wanted to mention the item that we just talked about. This came out of our last session. There were some other questions that came out of that that we may want to respond to also in regards to Title VI and restoration of rights after incarceration.
Well, let's go with that.
Okay. In regards to Title VI, one of our local doctors has worked on that for many years. And in fact, Dr. Tommy.
May I ask, does everyone know what Title VI is? Let's start there.
Okay. It's where federal funds are used to do different projects within a state. The state usually is the entity that distributes those funds. And one of the concerns over the years has been that when I say we, the local economy and particularly people of color, have not been able to access those funds. Now, here in the city of Chattanooga, going back to the 1990s, we, under Dr. Tommy Brown, we brought into the city of Chattanooga the man, Mr. Birdsong from the state of Tennessee, to come in and break it down to citizens as to how to go about it, what's involved. What my understanding is at this time, since then, there has not been a case brought before the state or the federal government to address any concerns. There's, of course, a lot of documentation that you have to have and things of that nature. So moving forward, it may be an item that we're able to use. If you look at your packets, there is information in regards to Title VI in there, along with some other items that had been questions asked of us at the last meeting that we've tried to respond to.
If you looked at what just happened in women's sports and the massive amount of money that's being paid punitively as punishment for not having equal pay for equal work, whereas the women's team had won more championships, 9 times more championships than the men had won, but the men were getting higher pay. Well, that was a costly event, and for employers that are here tonight, it's always good to stay abreast of, the law and what is currently happening. One of the other issues that we like to talk about, first of all, with an explanation of really what it is, what's the caucus planning to do with the equity gap for the American Rescue Plan funds, and who wants to talk about what are the American Rescue Plan funds?
Well, I'll speak on as far as the city is concerned and what we're doing. Mayor Kelly chartered the Chattanooga Equitable Recovery Commission. That's a 12-member commission assembled together with the Chattanooga Area Chamber of Commerce and the Urban League of Greater Chattanooga. That team is currently looking over the various proposals that people have submitted. The initial deadline, I believe, was February the 4th. So at this point, they're going through, seeing what were the majority of the asks for? What were people looking for? What were Chattanooga organizations, individuals looking for? Once they go through that, they'll create a plan of action. And from there, what's going to happen is the Equity Recovery Commission will issue its recommendations by late March, early April. Applications themselves will reopen in mid-April. So if you submitted one in February, they're going to come back put out additional recommendations. And so you can, if you didn't submit one, you'll have an opportunity to submit in mid-April. And they will conduct a community presentation of that framework, so everyone will be aware. It's going to be very community involved to make sure that people have that information. Applications will close at the end of May, and we will bring the mayor will bring a funding recommendation to City Council for approval in June. So it is important that we get your feedback on what you want to see. So once you begin to hear about, just continue to follow the news, contact one of your City Council representatives, and ask us where we are in the process, because it's our job to let you know. You know, y'all elected us, we're here to give you the information. And so follow along in that process. To ask us, you know, where are y'all in the process? What were the big asks? And once that information comes out, just make yourself knowledgeable, because at the end of the day, City Council has to approve any budget. So just make sure that you follow along, and it's our goal to make sure that it is equitable, that those ARP, the American Rescue Plan dollars, are used equitably the way they're supposed to be used, and not the way people may want them to be used. They have been set aside for equitable investments that catalyze opportunity and prosperity. So just keep that in mind, and it's with priority communities that have been disproportionately affected by the global pandemic. So you know who communities they are. They're typically 5, 7, 8, and 9. So keep that in mind, and be on the lookout for those agencies that are applying for those dollars. If you see agencies that you know don't do anything in our community, or they're very top heavy, make us aware. Email us, call us. As our moderator said, a lot of times we do things, but we don't, you know, we want to make sure we're on the right track, but your feedback makes it easier for us. When we hear from you, hear what you have to say. So that is what we're doing. We want to make sure that the process, the mayor has his process, and when it comes to us, we want to make sure that we are equitable in a way that dollars are spread, and we know that it is our communities that need the dollars the most.
Please.
I'll speak as it relates to the school system. Our ARP funds are, you'll hear us reference them a lot as ESSER funds, ESSER, and that stands for Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Funds. What so far that we have done in utilizing those dollars is the summer programming that we've done for the past 2 summers, and the next 2 summers we're doing. So the Summer Reach, the Camp Ks, those programs that you hear about that continue academic stimulation and involvement past the school year, as well as the differentiated compensation at promise schools. And promise schools are the schools that are in the inner city. So your district's probably like 4 or 5, parts of 6. Where you have students that are in school buildings that may be priority, may be on the cusp of being a priority school. Differentiated compensation for the teachers, the educators that are in that building, as well as, this has been the biggest news topic in a long time, and I'm very proud of this because I was in this fight, but the $30 million that we will be utilizing to build the new Tyner Middle High School Academy in District 5, which will be the first inner city middle high school in Hamilton County Schools, as well as a magnet that will have a magnet component. So let me say that the other middle high schools that we have do not have the magnet component, but Tyner Academy, Tyner Middle, and Tyner Academy have magnet components, and so them coming together as a middle high school will be the first of that in our county's history, and we're very excited about that. So that's a little bit about what we have been doing with our ESSER funds. As other needs arise, of course, we'll look at what that looks like. We're getting ready to head into budget season, so I'm pretty sure there'll be discussions about next steps for that. But right now, what we're trying to do is help our children that have been affected by, you've heard of the summer slide? Well, the pandemic slide is what I call it. We're trying to make sure that our kids are able to get back up to the levels that they need to be and continue to excel past where we want them to be. So that's what we're doing at the school system with our ESSER funds.
I was just delayed a few minutes getting here tonight and was talking with a veteran, and he looked awfully sad, and I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "Well, I'm going to have to divorce my wife of 35 years. I said, "That's terrible. Why?" He said, "She's out every night, 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, well, what's she doing out there, that lady? He said, well, sir, she's looking for me. So, I want to go over to the end, to the newest author on this panel, the person who has a book that's just been published, and ask our esteemed new author to talk about quickly and then bring it down the line this way. What are the two most important things that your constituents are telling you that they want to see you do?
The two most important things is my constituents would like to see me do, or let me correct that, for us to do. Because my community, we work collectively together to push different issues. But one is to reduce crime and then to increase generational wealth.
Anthony?
Mine, I used to hear about homelessness that is just running rapid. We need to do something about homelessness. Chattanooga is just, it's ridiculous, the camps and the things that are going on, and people just feel like we're doing nothing about it, and we need to put a lot more effort toward our homeless community.
I agree with Councilman Byrd. Of course, homelessness is one I hear a lot, and also economic development, is specifically in the neighborhoods that have been underinvested in, such as South Chattanooga and East Lake. So that is what I hear the most from my constituents, and so that is what I work the hardest on.
I think one of the things I'm very passionate about and working hard, diligently, as Councilwoman Dowley, economic development. That's the number one thing. As far as generational growth, we're working on, in order to build the realities for our children to come, it's got to come through economic development. Secondly, the folks in Washington Hills are on me about this. We got to get another center in Washington Hills. So that's two of the key things I'm working on right now. Thank you.
When you say get another center, excuse me for interrupting, what's the holdup on that?
I think it's a process. First, it's a slow process, and sometimes it takes a whole term to get a new center. But we start the ball right now. Architects and all that in order to have the monies and all that stuff ready, set aside. This would probably be the biggest thing I do as a councilman within these 4 years. It's probably going to take at least about $8 to $10 million to build a new community center in Washington Hills. We want a state-of-the-art community center where we all can appreciate it. And I admire Councilman Byrd and their center over there in Avondale, so we want to model that. We want to learn from that.
Well, just briefly, what's the temperature of the mayor on this?
He's all in for it. But the only dilemma we have is this. It's kind of similar to the problem with Tyner School, is that currently right now the county owns the property in which Washington Hills sits. The city owns the property in which Tyner, where we want to build Tyner School. So we got to do some swapping. The city's going to have to swap with the county in order to do that. So that's probably the biggest dilemma we have.
Okay.
We're working on it.
Let's continue with the most important issues.
Warren Mackey. I represent the 4th District, most diverse district in Hamilton County. Talking to the people in the district from one end or the other, there are a myriad of concerns. But it seems like to me, number one is job force readiness. And I think we solved that a little bit because
Yes, sir.
we will open a vocational school. We're going to open a vocational school in my district at the old Marion Garber Rec Center, and it's going to provide people with the opportunity to get training. Right now, that school, it will house 200 students. 160 of them will be high school students. 40 of those seats are going to be reserved for people who are not in the public schools. It's my belief and others that within 2 years, we're going to have to expand the size of that school. When you and I were coming along, if you're going to have a life, a good life, you needed a college degree. It seems now more than anything else you need to be able to do the job and be certified. And so this new vocational school, it's going to solve a lot of issues. And then guaranteed employment upon graduation with good pay. Guaranteed employment. People who, thank you for that, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, a myriad of occupations are going to be addressed. And, you know, you and I, we're living in a time of change. You and I have seen technology, robots, and apps continue to take jobs, and that's not going to stop. As we go into the future, you need to anticipate that it will be an economy that's driven by skilled labor. So in regards to the 4th District, one issue has to be with job growth and development, and then the other has to do somewhat with crime. You and I know crime is out of control in Hamilton County, and we're not only going to talk about the problem of it, but how do we address it? What can you do to stop that kid? We have been knocking on doors. We knocked on doors in Avondale, went to the west side, other parts of the city, asking guys to put their guns down. And it's out of control. What are we going to do? Don't ask government to come and tell your kid to leave his gun at home. Something has happened in our culture where people are picking up guns. They're shooting first. And it's a problem. You and I are going to have to address it. We're going to have to address it in our families, in our neighborhoods, in our schools. So, job development and crime.
Thank you very much.
Well, everybody knows school board is pretty heated across the country. So, but what I will say is, the school board member for District 5, and I just don't want to put this caveat in here. I feel like I'm the school board member for all the districts, and we know that, but I feel like some days I'm the school board member for all the districts, and especially for all the kids that look like me, whether they live in District 5 or not. Just gonna go and put that out there. And I don't mind that because that's what I'm here for. But I will say across the board from districts, the district I represent and others, one thing I hear about is addressing the bullying that's going on in schools. Most recently, I've heard of the whole kids being jumped into gangs in bathrooms, bullying. So that's a big issue that I hear about a lot, and kids making sure that the halls are safe, the schools are safe, so the kids want to go to school. I've been getting a lot of calls recently from parents where their children just don't want to go to school because they're scared of what's going to happen, or they don't want to witness it or do whatever. So that's a big issue. Second to that is equity, and I get that a lot, but what I really think when people get to talking and explaining to me what they mean by that, what they're asking me to do is advocate for liberation of our students, not just equity. And I always use this picture where it talks about the kids on the stairs or whatever, and there's the fence, and people try to level it off and get everybody to the same level. But as the complaints come further and further in, it's kind of like, just knock the whole fence down and let the kids run into the field. And that's what I'm getting a lot of push for, to make sure that the facilities are equitable, that's making sure that their access to resources is equitable. Cultural, this is a big thing. Cultural representation and cultural responsive teaching in schools is a big thing that I get. So just making sure that across their academic exposure and an environment, that there's equity and liberation present for all children, and that children see themselves in their buildings and in their lessons that they're learning every day. Those are the two biggest things that I get.
All right, thank you. Two of the I guess, concerns or issues that I strive to deal with at the state level is informing people of what the issues are, presenting bills that address concerns and problems that we have here locally. In the state legislature, there are 26 Democrats and 73 Republicans.
What?
Yeah, 73 Republicans and 26 Democrats. So you will always try to work with colleagues across the aisle anyway, but if you're going to get anything done, you have to work with people across the aisle. A couple of bills that I've been working on. One is 10-care expansion with the Affordable Care Act. In fact, it was yesterday, today is Thursday, Tuesday, I apologize. When you in Nashville with a group of people who have, what do they call it, culture wars on their mind as opposed to governing, it gets very interesting. But what we're saying is on that bill, we had an attorney who deals with health care as a witness, we had a pastor, and I made a presentation myself. It made no dent in the mindset of the other committee members that we should put people first. When we have 340,000 people in the state of Tennessee who are either uninsured or have no insurance, and we talk about the economy, well, how's a mother going to go out and work if her child is at home sick? A father who may be chronically ill. But we can, in a sense of speaking, solve all of that by embracing the Affordable Care Act and accepting over $2 billion from the federal government. But it's interesting that at the state level, the state budget is about 30–35% federal money. Got money from the American Rescue Plan, got money from the infrastructure infrastructure plan, but don't want to take any money when it comes to health care. And I'm here to tell you that there are more people in the rural communities who benefit from doing this than persons in the inner city. And one other bill I want to speak on that I will have in committee next week, it deals with Black history. Now, what we have right now, there's been a plethora of bills put forward that really eliminates us the opportunity to discuss our history, our heritage in the school system. For teachers, principals, professors, they think they put their job on the line if they don't teach what's considered the traditional mindset, which did not have. I go back to the time when I was in the 4th grade. I opened up my social studies book, and there were 2 pages when you open up the book, and it said something about slavery, and that's the only thing it had in there about people who look like me. So I'm saying there are people who want to go back, quote, to that time. So we have to keep fighting in every way we can at the polls, coming to committees at the state level, being a part of the process. And people,
Yeah. Counselor?
I want to comment on State Representative comment. Yusuf is greatly outnumbered. One way that you and I can help him is right now elections are taking place. As these forums and public meetings are taking place, I would ask you to ask them the tough questions. For example, the governor of Tennessee, he is changing the formula of how schools are funded. Generally speaking, each student, there's about $11,000 that follow that kid to whatever school they go to. Your governor is changing it in a way to where that money, that kid or that parent can take that money to a private school. Taking the money out of the public sector and putting it in the private sector. Now, I would ask you, as the people come forward, As the people come forward, I would simply ask you to ask them, where do they stand? Are they willing to take money and allow it to go into the private sector?
We want to quickly get more information.
This is regarding something that Commissioner spoke on, the trade school. There's a danger in not sending our kids to that trade school. There are going to be 40 kids from Brainerd, 40 from East Ridge, 40 from Howard. They're setting a table for us, but we got to bring our kids to the table to eat. So it's very important that we bring our kids there. If not, we're going to lose out.
Well, it would help when you start to talk about what kind of money is available in trade. People think about dollars and cents. Your plumber may make more than your lawyer, okay? There are a lot of jobs out there that you can do with your hands that put you in a position so that you are self-employed. Right. I know sometimes I walk around and people see me talking to myself, and I say I'm self-employed, so I'm having a staff meeting, okay? So, yeah, briefly, and then we're going to touch on the American Rescue Plan funds.
So real quickly, just for clarity, so there's a couple of things coming up with education, budgeting, and funding at the state level. So for clarity, because I don't want people to leave here and mistake what Commissioner Mackey just said. So what he spoke of is more toward the voucher system. And the actual BEP plan, which is the basic education plan, which is the current way that the state funds our schools, the state legislature is looking at changing that to student-based budgeting. So he's right about the amount of money that follows a kid, and if vouchers did pass, that money would be able to go to a private and/or parochial school. So a Notre Dame or a St. Nicholas, as well as a Boy Buchanan or a Baylor. And with that, what gets tricky for a lot of constituents is that the voucher, if it passed, would not pay for the entire tuition. And a lot of local, here in Hamilton County, private and parochial schools have made it perfectly clear that it wouldn't cover it, and they really don't want the voucher because they don't want your kid. Let's just be honest, okay? Now, I've said that, and that's out the way. Going back to student-based budgeting is, let me go back. And I didn't include charters in that because charters are public school options, okay? So there's a difference in the funding there. So if a kid goes to a charter school, yes, that money follows them, but they're a public school choice option versus a private competitive education option. Want to clear that, because people are like, she didn't mention charter, but that's because I'm not anti-charter. But I do it like for everybody that's in Hamilton County schools though. But on the flip side, the student-based budgeting really would help schools for equity purposes, because it would be a dollar amount for a child so that they could get everything they needed to be successful in their current academic setting. So I know a lot of us at the district are not, we're not anti-student-based budgeting because we've talked about it even doing it locally. I remember when Dr. Johnson first came, we talked about doing that locally because we were trying to fill those gaps. So that is a conversation that we need to continue to have, because we need to make sure that they don't throw monkey wrenches in it, because it's possible to do that.
Ma'am, can you say that for your debate on the campaign trail?
No, I ain't campaigning, I'm telling them now. Whatever. But I'm done. But I just want to clear that up, because I didn't want them to think that the BEP was going to charter vouchers, because that's not what it's doing. I wanted to clear that up. So I'm sorry, that was a little long-winded, but just to clear that up.
But I wanted to ask another, just a quick perspective from the state level representative.
That was a briefing paper that I saw this morning, and if it's realistic and if it's factual, the Hamilton County school system will receive somewhere around $45 million in excess of what we've gotten in past years. So that should go a long way toward services, we would say, if, give it as an example, if a child has dyslexia, if there are other issues that a child has, to deal with those. In addition to that, this year, there's going to be $125 million that would go toward teacher salaries. Now, in the past, what has happened, everybody in the house, in the school system, got that raise. And what it amounted to was that the teachers got a very little raise, but now it's going to be a little bit bigger than it's been in the past because it's designated for teachers.
Let's stay on the subject of money. There's something that's called the American Rescue Plan, and it has funds available. And who wants to talk about, number one, what is the American Rescue Plan? What kind of monies are available, and how do the general public, how do we get access to them? That's completely, okay, got it. One of the other things, what does it mean to be civically engaged? All of you guys are here for a reason. You didn't have to come here tonight. You came because you have something to say, or you have some questions that you would like to have answered. Let's open the floor up and hear what you have to say. And if you speak softly, there's a microphone that's available. We don't want to ask everybody to be as brief as possible because there may be more than one response. Who'd like to start this off tonight? First one is the best one. Give your name, please. And if you don't mind, what district are you in?
Okay. My name is Ivan Brown. I'm actually new to Tennessee. Well, not new. I've been here for a couple of years, but I'm with Bancorp South. I'm an economic and community development banker with Bancorp South downtown on Broad Street. But anyways, originally from the Washington, D.C. area. I've been here about 15 years now. But I'm not a Chattanooga native. But I mean, you know, from Washington, D.C., graduated Howard University. I am, is HBCU in the house? HBCUs in the house? Okay, all right. I want to help. And now I'm in a position to help. I'm over the CRA, the Community Reinvestment Act dollars for the bank. Okay. The bank hired me exclusively to get in the communities, interact with the community and the leaders in the community, and put my funds with your funds, and let's make a difference. Every other Tuesday, I have to report how much money am I giving away in lending in new home ownership and that type of thing. We have all kind of programs available from the commercial side and from the residential side and the commercial side. Councilwoman Courage, she's been responsive, you know, and so so we're supposed to get together. But I would love to help put my funds in your district. I'm not coming with my hand out. I'm coming to put my dollars with yours, and let's get something done. So, but I'll just be honest with you, I don't know where to start because I'm not a native of Chattanooga. So, I mean, I would love to interact with you guys, and you know, we have solutions. We have 100% financing. We're wrapping in closing costs, down payments, everything, giving the money away. Credit is not an issue. We know how to solve credit. We've cracked that code. So we have all the pieces in the puzzle, and the only missing piece that we have now is dealing with the community leaders. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, I want to commend you guys for the ones that I know a few of you guys. Y'all been doing a wonderful job. Y'all been doing everything, practically everything y'all can to make a difference and get things done. And I understand the red tape and everything that you guys go through. So my hat's off to you, and I commend you guys. I just wanted I guess now I get to my question. How can I help? How can we work together now that we're in a position?
You can start by telling us what bank is it?
Bancorp South. We're soon to be Cadence Bank.
Everybody hear that?
Bancorp
South. And Paula, I wanted to ask you, you had a comment that you wanted to make on this. Okay.
Let me say this.
Do you have contact information? Do you have some cards?
Yes, I have cards. And
you can start in District 5. When it starts, come to District 5.
Oh.
I'm going to bring it to you.
Also, on the commercial end, can we build? I mean, my market presidents, they're on me. Do we have black community builders that are from the community? Can we build affordable housing? Because there's commercial dollars to put with the development too as well.
Well, I do want to introduce you to some wonderful experts in African American housing. The National Association of Real Estate Brokers, they're right over here, Sabrina Haygood and Jay Williams. They are an African American led organization, And that's what they do. So I would love for you to also not just connect with us, but also connect with them, because they are going to be, they're moving into the direction of being the leading organization that talks about democracy and housing here in Chattanooga.
Well, Paula, we have a live stream question that someone has asked.
Now, it was just, what does democracy and housing look like in each of your jurisdictions?
You got to repeat it.
Yeah.
You gonna answer that?
Okay. What is democracy? Oh, that's one of the test questions that y'all sent me?
I think democracy and housing and District 5, what it looks like, feels like, and sounds like, as we build back better, stronger families, stronger community. Looks like we should grow as a city grow. And we should grow smartly, be aware of the changes in our community. If we don't change our practices that we're doing right now, then we're in danger of the complexity of our neighborhoods changing. I see that gradually our neighborhoods are changing. And when it does change, the developer comes and we're priced out of our own neighborhoods if we're not careful. So I say to you who are in our districts, is that if you have folks that are homeowners and they're elderly, I pray that you ask them to leave that home, leave a will in their will to somebody who's responsible. If not, leave it to a church. Because right now, the complexity of our neighborhoods are changing, and we've been priced out of our own neighborhoods. And it's similar to the problem that's happening in Nashville, Davidson County, where the prices of houses are out of roof, and folks are having to move to Rutherford County, to Laverne, to Smyrna, to Murfreesboro, because they're priced out. So be aware of that. But my goal is home ownership, to continue home ownership, and it starts with financial literacy. Thank you.
One of the questions that I had from someone before I came in here today, they talked about the lack of unity from black elected officials. And the case in point that they pointed out was, we had a chance to have a black mayor just recently. Couldn't get folks to work together to decide on the best candidate, come together and put it forward, and it didn't happen. So what's the incentive for you guys to show us as voters, and the fact that we live in your districts, that you know how to get together around a common cause, all for one?
I think that was a learning experience for all of us. Hindsight, when we look back, we just grow from our experience and we move forward. But it was just a learning experience for everybody. But there were efforts to unify all of us. So, but we have this tribalism right now. But this is, thank you, Representative Hakeem. He is our senior official here, and he saw the foresight to see this, that we're being proactive now. And so we won't have that problem again in the future. So we're doing that, we're starting that right now.
Well, I'm not gonna take responsibility for the fact that we couldn't elect a black mayor, because nobody came to the 9 of us and asked us anything. So I'm not gonna be held accountable for that.
Me either. But we also
But
gotta get out of the mindset, Carissa.
No. I'm just saying, no. Let me get it out though.
Okay.
What I'm saying is,
5 minutes.
I'm finna get it out, but I'm vaccinated and boosted. What I'm saying is, when each of those candidates decided to run for office, they did not come to us as a collective, already current officials and say, should we run for office?
They ran.
We didn't even know half of them was running until they was running. Let's just put that out there. So I don't want to be held accountable as an elected official for a choice that someone made. Just like I didn't go and sit down with them when I decided to run for re-election either. So I think there's a piece there. However, as a community member, I don't understand, for the life of us, why we had that situation when we've had so many models go before us that came together. And, you know, people came together, Irvin Overton, Mr. Franklin, Howard Roddy, people came together. This is not the first time this has happened. So what should have happened this time was we should have followed the model and learned from whatever was missing there, and we probably could have done it this time. But people work in silos and do certain things, and that's just where it is. Like, I know what I can say, but I mean, what you said, you was relating it to us, and I get what you're saying, but we weren't accountable for that.
So what we're doing,
We can't harbor on the past. We got to
if you
move
would come
forward,
up to
press
the mic,
forward.
please, because, no, we are being videoed, and the request is that you address through the mic so that we can record it, please. Thank you very much.
As a newcomer to Chattanooga, I'm going to tell you what I've observed in my 5 to 6 years living here, respectfully. You talked about the
Oh,
mayor's
I'm sorry,
situation.
they want to know who you are. And
I'm Varian Walton.
and
I am a
what
resident of
district?
Chattanooga. And just as a newcomer who is not a native, you know, if you're not born and raised here, it was often said to me when I got here that the people of Chattanooga are very finicky with that. They're not trusting. But I'm going to tell you what I've observed as a newcomer in this city. There has to be a change. You have had the Franklins, the John P. Franklin. And not to offend anyone sitting in this room or at that head table, who among you have a reputation that's beyond reproach, like a James Mapp or a John P. Franklin? Because when you have that kind of respectfully, you can take those candidates who are 5 or 6 of them that want to vie for that position and say, okay, candidate A, you know, we've been looking at you and your entire body of work that you've done over the last 20 years. It's not your time. We have another gentleman over here that has been a city or a community leader for 30 to 40 years. You know, when you split the vote like that, you're going to have more of the same. And respectfully to everyone in this room, you have to ask yourself, you were given the model with the James Mapp, with the John P. Franklin. That's even down to your current leaders that are a part of your civic and local groups, from Urban League to NAACP to SCLC. That's got to be fixed. It's fractured, grossly fractured. And the last thing I want to speak to you respectfully, to watch downtown Chattanooga change. I know you can't tell people what to do with their personal property, but Chattanooga is losing its charm. It is no longer known as a scenic city. It's becoming an urban jungle. And I'm from Alabama, and what you don't want is another Birmingham. What you don't want is another Atlanta. What you don't want is another New York. It's losing its charm. It's no longer known as the scenic city, and affordable housing is something that you have to address yesterday, because those people that are living in the camps, those of us who are 2 paychecks away from that type of living, are very worried and concerned. I thank you for your patience.
Appreciate it.
And your time.
Thank you. Sir, you're up next. Now, please identify your name and what district you're in.
My name is Michael Greer, and I am a native of Chattanooga. And just full disclosure, I mean, it's no shameless plug, but it's a reality. I am running for our County Commissioner District 5 seat. And I just want to speak to the moment, because what we are observing is the opportunity. My expectation when I come to these type meetings is to hear ideas, not talk about what we have not done. This is an opportunity. So each of you in your respective roles in the city and with the county, you don't you represent the black community because obviously you're black, but your constituents are not 100% black. But when we're in this forum, you are our leaders. So we can talk, have dialogue specifically about us. So this should be a forum to whereby, you know, civic engagement, but let's talk specifically about how to get the black community to civically engage. So when we talk about speaking to the moment, everything that we have not done, I know from my profession, being a financial advisor, planner, investment guy, talking about equity, when we have small businesses, the number one thing that we run into, the biggest issue, is capital. So let's move forward. We have a man here that just stood up talking about he has capital. So what I'm going to say is this. Here's what I would hope to see. A mission statement from you guys. You organize amongst yourself and just talk ideas. It don't always have to be policy and what you're doing in your elected roles, but in the town hall forum, we have an opportunity for our leaders to come together, organize, and then reach out to the professionals that you know in the community, and then create opportunities in our community by engaging with capital, sitting right here. So let's not run past the moment talking about what we haven't done. We have capital that just said he's coming, not hand out, he's coming with resources. So the opportunity, and I'm just simply expressing what I would like to see as a representative in the black community.
So are you asking for a mission statement and a timeline?
I'm asking to build on what you're doing. I thank you for doing it. I really appreciate it. I love seeing all of you work together, but I would like to see you each time to show growth and more organization. Because when the people see you guys organize, regardless of what happened in the past, it's going to become contagious over time. Our circumstance and situation in Chattanooga, it didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to be solved overnight. But what you guys are doing right now, I appreciate it. It's bigger than politics. I actually hate the word. I'm just being honest. But build on what you have right now. Talk to this guy right here and just come up with the ideas, and he has the capital. And in exchange for the capital, it has to be done right. So you'll be able to pull people together from your respective, districts or councils or whatever, and create.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
And then
You are in what district?
In response to Mike, real quick,
Yes.
and I know Mike, so, hey, Mike. But our mission statement, we do have one, because when we got together, we thought, well, we're not just going to get together. And Councilwoman Coonrod brought this up when we talked Saturday. She's like, what are we doing in these meetings? What's the outcome here? So I'll give you our mission statement, and then just some information we all discussed Saturday. But the mission of this caucus, the Caucus of Black Elected Officials, is to advance Black Americans by developing leaders, informing policy, and educating the public. Please always know that this is our second meeting. We're making intentional efforts to get together. What we wanted to do was have this meeting, but also, I don't know if many of you are aware, but the Urban League of Greater Chattanooga just released the State of Black Chattanooga yesterday. I encourage everyone to download that and read that report. It's specifically geared toward African Americans. And in the report, and I know we talked about housing earlier, and I want to reinforce that because I believe housing is the way for us, the easiest way for us to build equity, even though it's hard to do because of all the things they put us through. 18%, according to that report, there was an 18% drop in Black home ownership between 2005 and 2015. The Great Recession and the role of predatory loan practices combined to create a disproportionate impact relative to buying and owning homes. So when we know this information now, we didn't have that information before. We didn't have information that was specific to Black Chattanoogans, but we have that now. And because we have that now, we're able to come together after this. I'm taking notes. We'll come back later and talk to each other and say, hey, these are the people that had questions, issues, or whatever. And based on what we know about our districts, about our jurisdictions, we'll come together and say, well, what is our agenda based on our mission? And from there, we're building out from there. So we are in that place. We are moving toward that, but it does take time. Y'all know the government is slow. So it does take time. It's just like that. And I do want to do a shameless plug as well for my ladies with the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, the realtors over there. I love them because when we talk about housing, that organization was specifically founded by African Americans. It is an African American founded and ran and led organization. They're going to be key to us increasing our home ownership. Councilman Hester mentioned, we need to continue to buy homes, but there's also the need for financial literacy and education. And because if you don't have that, you won't know what to do once you get the house. So that is key and important. So I encourage everyone in here, and I know they're like, I always do this when they're around, to talk to them.
We really appreciate
Yes,
you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please. Your name and where you, what area?
I'm Scott Coral from News 12. Some of you know who I am. And if you don't, well, just watch Channel 12. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, we know.
All right, so I have two questions. And since I'm recording back there, I would appreciate it if you guys would just let me go back there to record. So I'll give you the two questions, and then you guys can answer.
You want brief answers or long answers?
However, I think
about
here's the
brief
thing. They're going to be,
answers?
well, they're complex questions. So my first question actually has to do with black home ownership, as well as the average salary of blacks here in Hamilton County. So there was a report done, I believe it was January, early January, where it said that the average salary for whites in Hamilton County was over $56,000. For blacks, it was just over $30,000. And that is obviously something that's going to play very difficult with home ownership, with the economy, with all sorts of things that I think we hold dear within this community. How do you guys plan to address it? And I know in the state, it's not going to be easy with 26 Democrats and 73 Republicans. I know it is not easy to pass things through, but if we are going to address the inequities of things, it has to start somewhere.
So specifically, what is your question?
How do we address the inequity of whites and blacks getting, I mean, seriously, whites are getting an average of almost twice the amount of blacks.
Let's give them an opportunity to answer that. Briefly, please.
I'll give it a shot. I believe it starts at the top. Many don't like the word politics, but as far as I can see, politics is involved in everything. Governmental positions are taken by the leadership, and budgets, like our budget has been put together, are we getting a chance to have input into that budget, to influence policy that's coming out of that budget? So, long story short, if you join with us and be active in pushing questions to those elected officials, like the people running for the county mayor job, we really need to be on top of them, making them publicly state what they're going to support. We have looked, Frat Brother and I, we had lunch today, and a lot of this stuff we're talking about now came up over our lunch. And this issue of housing, it is a tough issue. Economics are driving a lot of that. Homes that our parents built and raised us in, our parents have left, and the brothers and sisters in those homes, half of us are in Atlanta, the other half we're in
Can we
Nashville.
get back to the specificity of what his question is? He's talking about equity in salaries, and what can you do from your position to control payrolls in private companies?
One big one, your governmental leaders, like the governors, the county mayor, ask them where do they stand relative to equity. What are they going to do to make county government look more like the people who live in county government? I'll be quick.
Briefly, please.
Okay. We talked earlier a little bit about the trade school. Those are jobs that you don't have to go for 4 years that pay well. And if this trade school does what it's supposed to do, it will create the opportunity for more home ownership. I haven't been convinced yet that those who are operating the school has that as their motive. So I'm watching it, but at the same time, we need to look at that, who's the membership on that board and how they play in regards to the community. Secondly, at the state level, entities like Chattanooga State are going to have funds available, where, as an example, a lineman, climb telegram poles. There are potential for classes like that. They have one in Columbia, Tennessee. You come out the door after a 10-week course making $75,000. And so I'm saying there are opportunities for us to do things that are not complex to get this, to get it started or move forward with it. So that's just something I want to
So
bring.
can you make your next point really quick, please?
I will absolutely make my next point very quickly. So Saturday marks the 10-year anniversary of Trayvon Martin's death. And I think all of us in this room were changed when he passed. And I know that it wasn't a police issue or anything like that, but it did spark how we look at policing and race. So I ask you guys, now that we've had Trayvon Martin and George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Dante Wright, how do we shape the police to not look at us as hoods and thugs or whatever else they think of us? And now I will go back and I will record everything. Thank you very much.
We would be specifically interested in areas, if any of you sit on committees that directly deal with public safety.
Y'all go ahead.
What's the question? What you say?
Go ahead.
How do we shape
Come on.
police
You come on.
Because rhetoric is one thing, but to be in a position to
All right, if I may
actually
say
do
something, I guess it's kind of hard for me right now because I feel crazy. We come here and have these conversations, and I feel empty. I feel like we haven't left with anything. It's always a woe is me conversation. Black people, we just hurting, terrible, beat up, drug out. I'm sitting here with 3 young ladies who's selling houses and laying in the Caymans, right? In the Cayman Islands. Like, these ladies are selling houses over in the islands and introducing people to equity and things that we have a banker person here that's giving out loans. We have a chief and a person standing in front. We have a young man, Montreal, running for office back here in District 5. We have a person that's a judge, that's running for judge with Brian Bush, but we still having conversations about how we're losing and how terrible we are and how people getting beat up. And I just sit here like, what are we doing? Ronald Elliott, who's now working in the mayor's office instead of thriving. What we need to talk about is Miss Paula back here and how she gonna keep the Bessie Smith Hall open and how we all gonna donate $5 a month to make sure this place stay open, because the minute they get ready to shut it down, we're gonna be out here protesting. They taking out black business and doing this and doing that. That's crazy. We got Slim and Huskies opening up, Uncle Larry's Fish. We got the biggest church with all of it. Like, we winning. Everybody I know is winning.
We got to change the mindset. We got to change the mindset. That's
We
where
have
it
to,
starts.
y'all.
It starts right here. We
It's
change
crazy.
our mindset.
So I don't know.
We can't have that slave-like mentality. We
I don't
can't
know
have
what
that
we doing.
slave mentality.
We do this
We're
every
moving up.
time.
It's about progress.
We do this every
can't
time,
hold our
brother.
heads down.
Go ahead,
They-
brother.
If
I
they
just
shut
listen.
one door, shut another door, we keep striving. We can't stop.
All
We
right.
can't stop.
Go ahead, bro.
Well, now,
Yeah.
and one of the things I'd like to point out, I'd like to ask the question. We have a member of the Vulcan Society as from the fire department. Is there anyone here from the Chattanooga Police Department? Okay, so we can't ask that
We got
question.
a black chief, a woman that we just hired. What are we doing? Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, yes, please go ahead. Who are you and what's your point?
So, Bird gave me a promotion, but it's Captain Damian Benson, Chattanooga Fire Department. And I stay in District 7. So I don't know if I can follow what he did, but what I can say is that Chattanooga Fire Department just opened up the application process yesterday. Back in 2021, we had 22 minority people apply. Half showed up. No, I'm sorry. Half didn't show up, and 9 failed, and we only hired 2 people from that academy. So for District 5, 7, 8, and 9, I need your help. I'm the outreach and community outreach and recruitment coordinator. In order for Chattanooga Fire Department to look like Chattanooga, we have to get recruits to the table. So I'm here to help any way I can, I just need qualified individuals from Chattanooga. So if you guys can help me with that, that would be pretty much
Well, quick
appreciated.
question, you know, what's your advertising budget? Where is your outreach so that a lot of people know?
So we don't have a budget, but I don't want that to be,
well, how do you intend to reach the candidates?
So what I'm doing is I'm hitting the ground. So we're doing the old school methods of doing, flyers, going to different businesses. We're using the local media outlets around the Chattanooga area who are more than willing to say, hey, we'll do whatever we can to help you. We got social media, we're doing everything we can. But I am just one person, for the Chattanooga Fire Department. So whatever, again, we don't have a budget, but that doesn't stop us from hiring people.
So may I add, if there's anyone here that has an organization and you would like to have him come out to speak to your group, if there's anyone here that has an organization, hold on, young man, please. We'll get right to you. If there's anyone here that has an organization or a church group, and you would like for this officer to come out to speak to your constituents or your group, please let him know, and I assume that you would accept and come out.
Oh, absolutely. And future Hamilton County School Board Montreal brought up a good point. We have people, I love Chattanooga, I'm from Chattanooga. I don't have a problem with people coming outside to apply for jobs here, especially for the fire department. But who's going to serve us better than people who know the communities that they're serving?
And if I may, sir,
They'll have that same conversation when it comes to the county, who only got 2.3 black people in the whole county working for their department. But I just want to jump in real quick because I know, and Mr. Maurice, thank you so much for leading this discussion, and I'm very appreciative of my colleagues that took time out of their day to come and do this. But listen, if anybody in here from District 9, I will not be attending another one of these forums. Why? Because I've been struggling this whole time. We know exactly what the issues are amongst the black community. We know what those issues are. And if we aren't willing to address those issues and be honest with the people that look like all of us in this room, we got a problem. We've been having this same discussion since Yusuf became the city council member back in the day. Prior to Yusuf, when Franklin became the commissioner, it's the same ongoing issues. Listen, right now we got people trying to stop our children from reading by banning books. Like this stuff is serious. I don't have no more time to waste in this forum until we can understand and realize what our issues are and we're willing to address it. My constituents, you got my contact number. My house is even welcoming for you to come on my porch if you need to, because I have just that open transparency with the people that I serve. But this got to stop. This has got to stop. We
thank you, Representative.
Yeah, so I'm going to exit now. But I hope you all have a great night. Y'all know how to reach me.
I want to thank you for your effort, brother. Dr. King said if you can't run, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. Thank you for your effort, brother. Continued effort. Appreciate it.
Let's go back to the people who are the voters. Yes, please. Your name and where are you from?
My name is Lanisha Lake. I'm from District 7 in College Hill Courts. My question is actually about the child support office on 3rd Street. Do y'all know who actually runs that or like makes their regulations and stuff like that? Child support on 3rd Street.
And what your question is in specific why?
My question is specifically like, we done had the same magistrates for, I think about at least 15 years. And it seems like they're not doing anything to change what's really going on with the child support system. And last time I had somebody have to have a lawyer, they denied the person a lawyer saying they made enough money, but the person was behind on their child support. So I just want to know, like, what can we do as a community to be able to fix that situation?
Well, what's the mayor's office have to do with child support? Anybody?
So are you, somebody tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm school board over here, but the magistrates are elected, right? Like Gary Bailey, appointed by the elected judge, right? So the elected judge for juvenile court is Rob Fillion. So
What was the name again?
So Judge Robert Filliard is the juvenile court judge.
Okay.
He appoints the magistrates.
Okay.
So that falls under him, but he's elected. So your question, I'm assuming, will go to Judge Filliard's office as to how he determines his appointees.
Have you ever called Judge Filliard's office?
I didn't know that was the person that was over.
Okay, person, do that. And Judge Filliard's the coolest dude you want to meet, very down to earth, laid back. And some of the things that your points he may not know or be livy of, call him and say, hey, tell him Councilman Byrd told you to call. And me and you'll get together, we call them together. But Judge Filliard, you sit down and talk to him and have some dialogue with him, and he will listen and explain how the process and what he's got going on. And maybe one day he can appoint you. You know what I'm saying? We need people like you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just saying.
Okay, well, young lady, if you could wait at the conclusion of this, Representative Hakeem would like to meet you to see what he can do to get that ball started, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's take a question or answer. You are, and why are you here?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jay Williams, and I am the president of the National Association for Real Estate Brokers, Greater Chattanooga Realtors. We are here in Chattanooga for the very reason that everyone seems to be finding an issue with, and that is all things that are a disparity between Black Americans and white Americans and other Americans. We have an issue of home ownership. And it's not just about getting the home, but when you have the home and then grandma passes away and then you sell the house because someone offers you a dollar amount. What they don't understand is doing that, you have now erased generational wealth. So it becomes an issue of not just getting in the house, but for people to understand the generational wealth that has been created by having that house.
That's a major issue, but
what
what is it that these elected officials can do about what you're talking about?
Well, what they can do is start to have workshops. What they can do is have us come and we will happily sit down with your constituents and talk to them about how to get into home ownership, how to keep the house once they do have the house. Also about health, because that's a disparity. So not only that, and financial literacy, because you got to know how to save money to get the house in order to keep the house.
Excellent.
So it goes more than just a disparity between, but it's also the education that goes along with it.
Aren't programs like that already available?
There are, but what we're offering is to be there whenever you need us to be there.
Okay.
So
anybody that wants to, you know where to find these two ladies. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'd like to speak to the young man that's running for office. You disrupted our process. You have something to say? There's the mic. But now,
hold up, I have something to say.
Make your comments brief and orderly. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, I'm Sabrina Haygood. I am the Vice President of National Association of Real Estate Brokers, but I'm also I'm on the THDA Advisory Board. So I'm coming to you to help. So you tell me what your community needs so I can go back to Tennessee Housing Development Agency
Excellent.
and tell them what the community needs.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. So, good evening, young man, and you're running for which office?
Montreal Besley, Hamilton County Commission, District 11, that's what I'm running for.
Okay.
And one of the biggest issues that I have is the respect factor. I think we lose a lot of respect for younger candidates that run, just like I was blatantly disrespected by calling me out, because I haven't been the only one talking in this room. It's cool, though.
My job is to call anybody to that
But one thing that I see that's affecting us
respectfully.
One thing that I see that's affecting us is resources. The resources are not getting to the community. Haven't got to the community for a long time. That's one thing that I'm trying to change. Public safety, not just public safety in the policing standpoint, but in the environmental standpoint. That has to change. Community policing is what we need. We need more investment in our police department with social workers. We need more investment in our fire department by helping them secure the funds they need to train people that look like Captain Damon, Captain Vincent. That's what we need. And we have control and we have the power to do so. But we have to come together as a collective, like Councilwoman Coonrod said, and pretty much everybody on this panel has said. Together, we're going to have to do this. We can't keep working in silos. We can't. We just can't keep doing it.
That's why I wanted
We
you
have
up
to
here
confront one another face to face.
I
appreciate your time. Thank you.
No, wait a second. I wanted you up here to talk about the discipline necessary to get everybody to work together.
It's just a respect factor. We have to respect one another, whether it's age, gender, or whatever it may be. It's just respect.
So this leads me to one of my next questions. Who is it here that's training your replacement?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because where are we going if you're not?
I know for a fact Representative Hakeem has tried. I know Carissa has tried. I know pretty much, well, I can't say Councilwoman Ridley and Councilman Hester. I can't speak for them because they're new. Right. But everybody up here has tried in some aspect, I think. So, but we have to try harder. We have to pluck out those people that, you know, that we have our eyes set on to run for office. Just like Mr. Vincent, just like C. Grimes, just like Miss Lake, Angela, Mr. Greer. Why would I say Gita? I'm sorry, Mr. Greer. We have to pluck these people out and, you know, kind of give them a push to run because everybody don't have that drive like I have. Everybody don't want to serve like I've served, but we have to convince them that you are capable.
All right, we appreciate it. We have time for perhaps... Okay, time-wise, if you can do this within 30 seconds, because that's all the time we have.
For sure. C. Grimey, I'm in Rakila's district. I say Rakita. I'm so sorry, Ms. Dodley. To Bird's point, we do have an influx of people who are being socially awakened, becoming an entrepreneurship business, and a lot of us are growing and becoming into a successful state. But with the displacement from gentrification, over 5K people displaced out of District 9 from census to this census, we do not need to worry about...
Purchased homes, though. Don't mislead them. The 5K that moved, they bought homes in any area or part in Chattanooga that they want to move to. So don't, make sure you put the positive twist of why they left.
That's not all the way true.
You're running out of time, so you better stay with your point.
We see the average rent of a one-bedroom is $1,100. My point is this is a great room with a lot of power in it, and we need to galvanize these people who are civically engaged so we can come to solution-driven things. And Councilperson, I don't want to see you quit coming to the meetings. I want to see you continue to come and build off of this and have solutions. And I just wanted to commend y'all for being here. And let's keep something going with these people in this room that are civically engaged.
And Councilwoman Coonrod, I don't live in your district, but I hear your voice. And please continue to come because you speak out, whether we agree with what you're saying or not. You're important to all of us, and you represent the entire city with one seat. So please do not stop coming. We want to hear what you have to say. How about a big round of applause for them taking their time to come out with us today. And there's a simple takeaway. There's a simple takeaway that has happened. They're asking for your help. They're asking you to be their eyes and ears, to call not just them, but to call other people who are in elected office to say, I like this or don't like this, and here's what I want you to do, and here's how I can help. So give yourself a nice round of applause for being here. And thank you all very much.
Really quickly, we are in an election season. So we have a primary election in May 3rd, 2022. And then there is a general election August 4th, 2022. And then we have an election in November. I don't know the date for that one because I ain't in it and I hope to be somewhere resting. However, we have also went through a redistricting process here locally and in the state. So please pay attention to where you, pay attention to your polling precinct, the district you live in. If you're unsure if you've been moved in your district, You can find all of that out by going to the Election Commission site, putting in your putting in your home address, and it will pull up for you what district you're in and who your representatives are. Please pay attention to that. I do not want you to show up on May 3rd in the wrong place and your vote not be counted. Please pay attention to that. That's very important because a lot of you all, I promise you, have switched districts and you just don't know. That's really important. So make sure you pay attention to that because some of us are no longer your representatives. We've switched. So I just want to make sure y'all pay attention to that. That's important.
Thank you all very much.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
I'm serious.